Though today stop motion is considered its own genre of film medium, it is the origin of all film productions, developing from small card circles to the blockbusters they are today. To understand stop motion animation, there are, however, a few important pieces of terminology to know. The whole reason stop motion works the way it does is because of a trick the mind plays on us called the persistence of vision. Demonstrated by some of the pioneers we'll be mentioning later, persistence of vision is all about how the eye retains information. The retina preserves the last image you saw for about 0.04 seconds. Thus, if you are shown something quick enough, what you perceive is a subtle blur of what you're seeing and what you have seen. All the films we have seen in our lives are just a collection of images being flicked through really fast, and so creating an illusion of movement. How smooth an animation will be will depend on a couple of factors, one of which is the frame rate. This is the number of frames/images that are shown consecutively in a second. The more frames in a second, the smoother and more accurate the movement being recorded will be. If too low, we as viewers will become less convinced by the continuity of what we're seeing. As mentioned, film today is just a camera effectively taking a large number of images quickly. When someone decides to create a film by taking individual pictures of an action, making slight alterations each time, this is considered stop frame/stop motion animation. This takes much more time than conventional filming, as the subject has to be tweaked a small amount each time, with sometimes thousands of images to make sure the production is smooth. The first person to demonstrate the illusion of a moving image was Joseph Plateau. He was a Belgian physicist born in 1801 that was fascinated by the impressions left on retinas. He produced various studies on this, but he is more commonly known for his invention of the phenakistoscope, which was a set of two discs, one with a set of images and the other with a set of slits in it. Each image had a minimal difference between them, and when spun fast enough, the synchronization between these discs would create a basic form of animation. The invention could also be worked by using one disc and a mirror. This design was improved upon by a British mathematician named William Horner. He took note of Plateau's design and, from it, published details and mathematical principles that show a cylindrical device he called a daedalium, later called a zoetrope. This cylinder had images on the inside wall and had slits sequentially placed along it. Similar to Plateau's invention, it worked by spinning it at a particular speed and viewing the images through the slits. The combination of seeing an image, nothing, and then a slightly different image created the illusion of movement in the viewer's eye. The person who was first to create a form of basic stop-motion animation using taken images was Edward Muybridge. He was an English photographer that was hired to settle whether or not a horse's legs were completely off the ground at some point during their gallop. He went about this by setting up 16 cameras to sequentially take pictures of a horse galloping by. The result answered their question, showing that the horse does have all its legs off the ground, but when they're withdrawn, but also accidentally creating stop-motion animation. To display his findings, he created an invention that was a mix between a phenakistoscope and zoetrope, named a zoopraxiscope. Realizing that short films could be made by taking hundreds of pictures and displaying them sequentially, various filmmakers found a new form of production. These next two people are stop-motion animators that helped develop the craft, creating new ideas that will be used in years to come. The first is Willis O'Brien, who was a visual effects and stop-motion animator who created some of the most well-known films in cinema history. His first project was a 90-second animation that included dinosaur models he sculpted himself. These models were created with many features to make the production look better. One was to give the model a small skeleton inside to move it easier, as well as a balloon inside to simulate the creature breathing. San Francisco exhibitor Herman Wobber witnessed his work and commissioned O'Brien to make a film titled The Dinosaur and the Missing Link, a Prehistoric Tragedy. Thomas Edison saw this and further commissioned him to make more similar short films. He was most notably remembered for the film King Kong, which came about after a failed project led to many spare models that needed to be put to use. The model produced for the film was able to be positioned easily as well as make various facial expressions, allowing the audience to feel a sense of empathy for the beast. As O'Brien was making these, a man named Ray Harryhausen was inspired by his work and endeavoured to create his own. After meeting his idol and being urged to take further graphics classes, Harryhausen acquired his first job writing on Puppetoons, a cartoon show by George Pal. Later he was hired by O'Brien to assist in the animation for the film Mighty Joe Young, which won O'Brien a Visual Effects Award. Two of his most well-known works are Jason and the Argonauts and his various films based around the legend of Sinbad. These films featured a coin technique he named Dynamation. This worked by first projecting a rear image onto a translucent screen, with the stage for the stop motion in front of that, and another glass plate that would have the foreground image for that frame painted on. This allowed him to put a miasma of strange and wonderful creatures and monsters against the characters in his films, each drawing upon model-making techniques that O'Brien pioneered. One iconic scene is the fight between Jason from Jason and the Argonauts and some skeletons, which, although not incredibly advanced today, was revolutionary then. In the modern day, stop-motion animation has been interpreted in many different ways, with some being abstract and surreal and some being creative and peaking. These two animators took multiple techniques from developers and near-perfected them, as they were taken into the modern age. One of these is Pez Films, run by Adam Pezapane, who was a world-renowned stop-motion animator. Noticing how anything can be given motion through stop-motion, he based his work around taking random objects and transforming them into others, whilst crafting something similar. His most recognized works are Western Spaghetti, Fresh Guacamole, which was nominated for Academy Award for Best Animated Short, and Submarine Sandwich. His first animated short was titled Roof Sex and took 20 shooting days, teaching himself to animate using doll furniture in his apartment. This animation won him the Best First Film Award at the Annecy International Animated Film Festival. After this success, he made a second called Kaboom, which refined his signature of using random object, which has moved on from the work of people like O'Brien through faster frame rates and better quality images. As he gained more and more notoriety, he began to be approached by companies to help them make adverts for their products. A few significant ones are for Coinstar, Scrabble's 60th anniversary, and one for Honda, which is his most recent. He has been nominated for and won many more awards for his work since then. Another company are the immensely popular Aardman Studios, who have produced many stop-motion films and shorts, prime of which is Wallace and Gromit. This series of films mainly uses modelling techniques similar to O'Brien and Harryhausen, but instead using metal armatures surrounded in plasticine. Along with the armatures making it easier to move the models, they added eyes with small holes in them to make it easier to make them look around, as well as making them lip-sync with the actors' voices. This has developed from Harryhausen's models as they are more detailed and easier to move. Aardman's animations also look smoother and less jittery through their use of far faster frame rates. Today, stop-motion animation has been used for more than just film and TV. It has been used for many different forms, which include adverts, channel idents, and music videos. An example of an ident is E4, whose channel image is based around idents that are various and strange. They ask viewers to make them for them, with many being stop motion. There are many adverts nowadays that use stop motion, but a good example is the advertisement for Honda as a whole company. To make this, they employed Pez Films, mentioned earlier. Piling on to the unique image stop motion can produce, a well-known music video that takes advantage of this is the song 8-Bit Trip by Rim de Glage, which uses Lego as their medium.